Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Polite Society podcast. I'm Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. We're going to be going live with my team here in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and bring them in. Just checking with everybody, making sure that we're ready to go. You can already see our guests, Brian and Shelley Hill, are there and ready to fly. So I'm just about ready on my side, guys, to press the record button and make all the pre-recorded stuff go. So I want to connect the social media stuff. Okay. And turn this on. All right, I am ready to fly. Any objections?
No, I'll back up. I was typing.
Okay. All right, we are going in 5, 4, 3.
Hey gang, this is Masad Ayub from the Pro Arms Podcast. I'm here to remind you that our podcast is a member of the Self-Defense Radio Network, and I'm going to suggest you do what we do and check out the other podcasts at selfdefenseradio.net.
Treat every firearm as if it's loaded.
Never point a firearm at anything you're not willing to kill or destroy.
Keep your finger off the trigger until you are on target and ready to fire.
Always be sure of your target and what lies beyond it.
Hi, and welcome to the Second Amendment Foundation's Polite Society podcast. We're recording this one on Monday, September 13th, 2021. I'm Paul Lathrop. And I'm pushing way too many buttons too quickly.
I'm Amanda Suffolk, and on tonight's show, we talk with Shelley and Brian Hill about image-based decision drills and their ongoing saga of the difficult neighbors. We'll just call her Mrs. Kravitz. On the Complete Combatants Range in Georgia. And I'm dating myself if you all know who Mrs. Kravitz is.
I'm Charlie Cook, and we'll talk about 3 anti-violence workers charged with felony gun violations while on bail for felony gun violations.
I'm Tracy Thronberg, and we will talk about a home invasion in Phoenix.
Tracy?
So climb aboard.
Strap in.
And hang on.
Episode 595 of the Polite Society podcast starts as soon as I find the right darn button to push. And I am afraid, there it is, that's the right button. Starts right now. All right, now I got to come back to this one again. And welcome back, everybody. It's been, 3 weeks now since we've recorded, and you can tell I specifically am a little bit rusty. 2 weeks ago, I was a little bit under the weather, shall we say. And we had Shelley and Brian scheduled for that. They graciously said they would reschedule. I called off the broadcast, and now we're back tonight. We do have audio issues. I am aware of that. I can hear that, but we're just going to go ahead and soldier through anyway. Amanda, what's been up with you since the last time we went to air?
Well, okay. Shooting-wise, really nothing. Though I have to say the lady at the post office hates us because we know there's an ammo shortage, so I bought projectiles. And you know that when they ship them, they absolutely make use of the 70 pounds in a flat rate package. And so that 70 pounds is all that she can roll off the counter. And so I got 3 70-pound boxes of projectiles, and like I said, she hates me. Radio-wise, this week, you got to hear this week radio-wise. My show, last night, 2 hours. This show, tonight, hour and a half. In the next 2 days, 4 shows of Meet the Pressers as a guest host. Then on Thursday, Friday, 2 shows of Women for Gun Rights, one that's live and one that's in a can for when I'm traveling. And then one as a guest instructor for self-defense gun stories. So that's just this week, radio-wise. So, Tracy, what about you?
Well, Amanda, my internet here at the house is still pitiful. Allergies are getting us badly here in Austin, Texas. If you have been outside at all, you are coughing and sneezing because everything is blooming right now. I worked all day on Saturday at KR Training. We had 2 sold-out classes. We taught basic pistol skills 2 in the morning and defensive pistol skills 1 in the afternoon. Everybody was safe. Carl was at John Murphy's place in Virginia teaching. So John Dobb was in Oklahoma taking John Farnham's instructor class. So some of the other A-team guys and I ran those classes on Saturday. It was a great day to be outside. Now we're just suffering with the allergies. Charlie, what's going on with you? I can't hear you.
Oh, wait a second. If this is me.
Now we can't hear Paul either.
Hello?
Got it.
Hi.
We got you. Nope.
Now he's just faking it now. He's good on my end. Charlie,
So
you're about to get fired.
Slow. Charlie's been slow with gun
Charlie.
classes, but he's been busy editing video for AmCon. Charlie went to New Jersey to film John Petrolino's speech, and he also filmed 2 Riding Shotgun with Charlie episodes while he was down there. So, Paul, what are you and Susan up to?
I agree with Dana. Charlie has never sounded better.
Some days I just phone it in, guys.
And when you go to that screen, we get 2 Brians and no Charlies.
I know. Charlie's never looked better either than when I go to that screen.
I'm just saying.
Keep mouthing it, Charlie. Just keep mouthing it, baby.
I have learned how to run this
That's
software.
what she
just
said.
a
I'm
little,
sorry. Was
little
that
bit.
external?
Don't. We're circling. We are circling.
Family
so, Paul, what
program
about
here,
you?
folks.
It has been AmCon prep, and this week, for the first time since my stroke, the Daily Bullet has gone back to a 5-day-a-week schedule. And today was a very fast turnaround. I just 38 minutes ago, wrapped up Daily Bullet for Monday. Today's guest was Tom Knighton. Today's guest commentator was Tom Knighton. And it was a great show. We actually had a troll. And Tom and I got to have fun. You would think the worst thing in the world would be an anti-gun person getting on the chat. And actually, it's fun. We had somebody that, it's time for you folks to turn in your guns. That, the Second Amendment needs to get repealed. And I had a blast with it. So, yeah. It's and I didn't, and even more, something that Susan is proud of me for, I didn't lose my cool, which is not always,
the case.
Exactly, not always the case. So, all right, that's kind of what's been going on with me. AmCon is now 2.5 weeks away. Yeah, I know. We are in full-time prep mode. Just fair warning, there will be a show next week. There will be a show the week after that. The week after that, I will be making my way back from Dallas, And I'm not going to do what I have in the past and bomb back in one shot on Sunday night. That ain't going to happen. So there will be no show October 4th. You'll have to live. There will be no Daily Bullet. There will be no Polite Society that day. You'll have to live without. So, let's see here. George and PNW Woods are saying the audio was funky. I think I've got it traced, and it should be better now. But
Charlie, can we hear you? No, we can't.
Yes,
Nothing.
we can. Charlie is pulling our leg.
I don't think he is.
No, I really saw him change headsets.
I actually think, Charlie, what you've got to do, if you can hear it, if you can hear us, what you've got to do is you've got to log out and pop back in.
Okay. All right.
So, see ya, Charlie. See, the trick, though, is if you make faces when you log out, then you get frozen, like, But you got to think about that in advance before you do that. So for those of you who are listening to this from podcast, I made an amazing face. But why don't we, while we're waiting for Charlie, why don't we just move to the interview? What do you think?
Why don't we do that? We're going to step aside to our first break. Before we do that, though, I do need to talk a little bit about the Self-Defense Radio Network. Our tagline, all your pro-freedom podcasts in one place. You can see up there right now if you're watching Self-Defense Gun Stories, Gun Freedom Radio's up there, Eye on the Target Radio's up there. All kinds of, there's what, we have 15 shows up on there right now. Armed Society Podcast, trust me, give me another several weeks. That will be coming back. I'm just now starting to get into the swing of things. I'm not totally 100% yet, but things are coming back. Armed Society will be coming back, I promise you. But we've got 15 shows up there right now. If you click on any of the shows, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to click on Gun Freedom Radio. And as you see, the latest episodes populate right there, and you can listen to them right there, and even subscribe off the website if you would like. So that's sdrn.us. All right. We are
I just want to check.
Charlie, we can hear you.
I'm back. Yay!
We're going to step aside to break.
Charlie's back. We got to go away.
And yeah, we got to go away. See if we can screw his audio up one more time. I can actually click right over here, and Charlie's audio goes away. But we're gonna go to listen to the good folks from SAF. We'll be back, and then we'll talk with Brian and Shelley Hill about something called image-based decision drills. You're going to want to pay attention to this. It's something that is totally out of anything you've ever experienced before. Hang on, everybody. Right back after this.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have vowed to take away your Second Amendment rights through gun bans, gun confiscation, and government regulations. Now, Joe Biden is no longer hiding his real intentions, and we need you to take action now.
Whether it's a 9mm pistol or whether it's a rifle, is ridiculous. I'm continuing to push to eliminate the sale of those things. But
the Biden administration is coming after your right to own any gun, and we need you to text PROTECT2A to 474747 now. Joe Biden has already issued executive orders. He is now demanding Congress push through radical gun legislation. You can fight back to stop Joe Biden's gun grab, but you must text PROTECT2A to 474747. Take action to protect your right to keep and bear arms. We urgently need millions of Americans to text PROTECT2A to 474747. Again, text PROTECT2A to 474747 right now.
All right, we are back. This is the interview segment of the SAF's Polite Society podcast. Joining us, you've been able to see them the whole time. They've been so patiently dealing with us, but Shelley Hill and Brian Hill of The Complete Combatant are here. I want to talk image-based decision drills. This was brought to my attention as Shelley, you were the one that came up with this, right?
I did, with a help from a few others, but yes.
Can you tell us the thought process? What brought this about? This is totally unique. I've never seen anything like this before. What was the thought process about bringing this about?
It started, I guess, about in 2018, where Brian and Claude and I were talking about just different ways to learn. And I'm dyslexic, so that means that I learn possibly different than you. I would learn more about hands-on and images, where words and reading don't stick with me as well. So we just started kind of putting our brains together, and then I just kind of came up with this, the image-based decisional drills, and it's a dry practice or a live fire learning system where we would be able to show you, I guess in all my personalities, show you guys what it's like to learn via images and the benefits from it, whereas growing up being dyslexic was very difficult. But as an adult, learning how to handle it and now being able to introduce other people into the way that you can learn through images, that's where it all came from, is trying to show you guys what it's like, because you can actually learn quicker, retrieve the information faster, and obviously a lot more pros with that, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit later on in the show.
Sure. Now, one of the things that I advocate for, and we do this all the time when we get to the defensive gun use segment, is I'm a big advocate of, in your everyday life, you play through in your mind, what if a bad guy were to attack right now through that door? What if somebody were to pop up from over there right now and start attacking? Where are the weak points? Try and figure it out. Where are where are you exposed in everyday life? This is kind of similar to that, but it exposes you. When you and I had a telephone call, and you sent me some of these images, it's really a shaker. Some of these images, you're like, wow, that you don't expect. What the whole thing is. If I'm saying this wrong, please feel free to correct me and do it forcefully if you need to. But what the thing is, you're seeing this, you're shown a card or an image, and what would you do if you were to see this image? And some of these images, are a lot of disturbing, and some of these images are one whale of a lot closer than I would ever want to be.
Right. Hey, Brian, I'm going to turn that one over to you as far as answering that question. I think you'll do a better job than me on that one.
Okay, so we know that the visual cortex is strongly developed in people, and as we use this as a training program, it teaches people where to hold their eyes. One difference between an expert and an amateur is they know where to look. The image-based decisional drills tells you to scan the hands quickly and to understand pre-assault indicators, understand your proxemics of distance and how they affect you for your fighting range. Interestingly enough, we've had a very unique side benefit to this, which we called altered states of consciousness that are very easy to identify during it. We've talked about these in the self-defense community. We've labeled them like tachypsychia, which is time dilation, auditory exclusion. What we've learned is during this training that these images evoke such a strong response that we see people that are unable to hear commands, that can actually change and transfer colors that are in the image. that are unable to describe the person's face, that have a very slow reaction, or they create their own narrative that had nothing to do with the picture itself. So it's been a truly interesting and rewarding experience to use these images because it's much more than just force simulation. It's a very quick and easy way for people to practice this at home and get a great benefit out of it and learn how to look at people and then make very quick decisions. We like to call it the bifurcation tree, where there's one or two decisions that you can make quickly that'll serve you best. And it really teaches people a lot about how they think, how they stack cognitive issues, and how quickly they respond, and actually what poor witnesses they are to the event that they just saw in front of them, because we only give them 5 seconds to look at it. So it's a very interesting process. I think there's a tremendous reward and benefit in this, and we're able to manage the arousal level, which means we don't get people too excited. If you put somebody in force on force, they get overwhelmed very quickly. And then if there's too little information, they're not really engaged. And this has been, we're really able to get people that are real hard chargers really interested in it, and people that are on the more sedate side get a great benefit out of this. I think the images work fantastic for that.
Oh, hang on just a sec, Shelley. Let me do this. I didn't hear you for a second. Now we do.
You good? Oh, sorry, guys. The definition of image-based decisional drills is to quickly make one good first decision based on visual cues, to be confident, decisive, efficient, and explosive. So when you think about trying to make one good first decision based on visual cues, what is it, Brian, that somebody has said, and I've heard you say it, that we live in the largest, was it force on force? Who was it that said that? I can't remember.
William April said it.
William, that's what it was. William said we live in the largest force on force scenario, right? Every time we open our eyes. So that's kind of what the image-based decisional drills is based on, is we now have over 300 cards or scenarios, and some of them are just literally just open your eyes and lift your head and just make eye contact and see it. It's probably just a nuisance, right? It's just real life. And then some of them get a little bit darker or spicier, or we need a little bit more cognitive stacking. But really what we're looking for is one good first decision within that 5-second mark, which is really a long time when you're talking about a self-defense encounter. So one good first solid decision to get you home safely.
Well,
okay, now, Tracy, you have taken this as an instructor at the instructor level. I've gone and got to experience it as the victim of the card crime, if you will. So I got just a morsel of it. But Tracy, you've done way more of this. So why don't you jump in here?
Well, number one, Carl and some of his team, we put together an add-on pack for the image-based decisional drills packet. And Brian and Shelley say that I get shot a whole lot in my card.
All the time. It's one of my favorites.
That's what I hear. Andy
Wait,
Anderson.
Your favorite is shooting Tracy?
Well,
no, it's them.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's one of her cards is an awesome card because she's under 4 yards in proxemics. She's really moved into your intimate or social space, and she's got a crowbar over her head. And so many people are like, I could run or I'm going to pepper spray, but they don't realize that this is a lethal encounter. This is a crowbar 2 yards from your head coming down. So it's really interesting to see. So it's kind of like, yeah, good decision. Take Tracy out.
Andy Anderson texted me. He evidently Brian was teaching at Boondocks a couple of weeks ago in Mississippi, and Andy texted me and he's like, "You got shot again and again and again tonight, Tracy." And I'm like, "Thank you so much." But one thing that I found out Brian said something about people are finding out that they can't give an accurate recount of what they saw on the card. Evidently, my brain is the exact opposite, and I focus on minutia, on very, very strange, small details on the cards. Because what happens is, someone flips a card over, and you have to decide, what is my course of action? Am I going to use verbal cues or verbal commands? Am I going to use pepper spray? Am I going to walk away? Is this nothing? Do I need to use, something lethal? And I may be getting off track here, but your training packet that you have, you've got an inert pepper spray can that's got water in it. You've got a little jitterbug flip phone for calling 911. You have a flashlight. You've got a blue gun that you provide that part. But it's really, can you articulate, can you come up with a plan within 5 seconds of what you need to do and implement your plan, and then describe why you acted the way that you did? It's fabulous, because you really never know what you're going to get on the next card. And it's something that I'll go through once or twice a week. I'll just flip a couple of cards and go, what do I need to do? Oh, what do I need to do? This is a unique way of training for life that doesn't exist. And Shelley's a visual learner. Well, I guess I'm a visual learner too. This is brilliant stuff.
I want to get a comment in here. Charlie Chambers asks, is your training based on neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, Stanford techniques? That's great stuff. I don't know what he's... That whole question is way over my head. So, if you get it, cool. But the whole question is over my head, so...
I do get it. And once again, my darling husband, the floor is yours.
Oh, wait a minute. There we go. Now we can hear him.
Yeah. Neuro-linguistic programming is a science where we use to program ourselves. But what this is basically doing is we're on the cutting edge of neuroscience right now of how brains work. It's been the first time in human history where we can actually identify how brains are working. And it's very interesting. They work very differently. Some people's work like a Christmas tree. Some people work from right to left. Some people circle through it. So their decisional properties are very different. And we found the fastest way to program somebody to overcome the freeze, which is the biggest problem in self-defense. It doesn't mean you're a bad person because you froze. It means that you have too many decisions to make. What we're doing is thawing the freeze by giving people practice to react to a stimulus, visualize what they're going to do, and then execute the action as quickly as they can. So rather like neuro-linguistic programming, we're thinking about it, we're programming it, but we're using a visual and a kinesthetic index also at the same time, which gives us really quick benefits. And I look at this as field training for the armed citizen. Much like law enforcement, you have a field training officer, you ride around and they show you what to look at. This is something for the armed citizen that simply doesn't exist. And we're going to have a visual cue, we're going to have an auditory cue, and we're going to have some sort of kinesthetic feedback and our ability to move to it. So maybe a little bit we're using neuro-linguistic programming, but it's really more of a visual core. And it is a very quick dissection, as Tracy learned, that she's very good at remembering details. She's a good proofreader for that reason also, that our brains all work very differently. And it's an incredible thing to witness different people going through the program because they have a very different response to it. So unintended consequence is it reaches a large group, but we're also seeing a lot of different perceptions with it.
Well, here's what we got going on. We are just very tip of the iceberg, and for viewers, listeners, we're going to go multiple, and we're probably going to go 3 to 4 segments into this interview. But we are at the bottom of the hour. We do need to step to break. We're going to do that. When we come back, Shelley, what I'd like to do, I have got many of these cards loaded up ready to show the audience. When we come out of break, if you would text me the description while we're in break, I want you to text me the description of one card you'd like me to show the audience. When we come out, I'm going to give them a 5-second shot, and that's all they're going to get, because they'll get to experience it just like they would if they were actually in the program. So
that's wonderful.
That's awesome.
So we're going to step aside to break. We're going to hear from the good folks at ACLDN, and then when we come back, you'll get to experience just one of these. We'll probably do one or two more later in the interview segment, but hang on. Right after ACLDN, we'll get into that.
This portion of the Polite Society podcast is brought to you by the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network. If you carry a defensive handgun, you need protection from the aftermath of prosecution. Even if you do everything right, you can be the victim of an overzealous prosecutor or even be falsely accused. That is where the ACLDN comes in. They provide immediate assistance when you need it most. If you find yourself under arrest, they immediately pay bail money and the retainer for your attorney. Additional funds are available for trial and civil proceedings. Beyond the money, they have far and away the best team in the industry, providing you invaluable information and training DVDs that are included with your membership, and who stand ready to work with your lawyer on your defense. People like Masad Ayub, John Farnham, James Fleming, Tom Givens, Emmanuel Capelson, Dennis Tueller, and led by Network President Marty Hayes. Initial membership is only $135 for your first year, and you get 8 incredible training DVDs and other educational material when you join. If you don't have tens of thousands of dollars to defend yourself at your disposal right now, you need to be a member of the ACLDN. Go to armedcitizensnetwork.org and become a member today. And please mention that you heard about them on the Polite Society podcast.
Okay, we are back. This is the Polite Society podcast presented by the Second Amendment Foundation. And I've got to get this one set up here. And here is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's what you get. I'm going to let you take it from here, Shelley. That's. I hope that's the one you wanted me to show them.
Mm-hmm.
So
I chose this card for. Thank you, hon. I chose this card for the first one. Everybody assumes that image-based decisional drills is going to be all about firearms or all about pepper spray. Sometimes it's nothing more than just being aware of what's going on. So here we are. It's happening to you. It's happening in front of you. It's happening beside you, or it's happening behind you. It's usually roughly 4 yards because proxemics makes a difference when we're talking 12 feet on some of our decision making. So I chose this card here for your listeners out there or whatever who are viewing this, because you have to see all. The first thing you do is if you see a person, you have to look at their hands. Well, that's not what this is. If you look at this card and you were able to see, truly see more, it looks like you're in the front seat. Paul, will you be able to pull that up for me as I talk? Could we show this to them again? Can I put it on the screen
right now? Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that and talk through it real quick. So we're looking at this, guys, and right now it looks like I'm driving. And it looks like I'm looking in the side mirror. And it looks like directly behind me there is now a bicycle, and you see a backpack. Mm-hmm. Now you have to make a decision on what do you do. If this is behind you, could something have happened that you've missed? Did something just happen? This is up to you to make the decision.
It's time to
on
put
how
the car
you want
in
to
gear
handle it.
and go is what time it is.
And it could be. It could be something that you may want to get a little bit down the road and make a 911 call. This may be something that you feel pretty confident because you are carrying pepper spray, or you do have EDC, which is everyday carry. You may be a first responder where you're wondering something is just not right. And I think I do need to check this out because this has the whole outlook of a child that could be in need. Once again, some of these decisions are moral decisions or decisions that are based on your personal experience. I'm medical. So chances are I'd probably, if I felt secure and comfortable, I may want to check this out. But there may be somebody else that says, Paul, just like you, that says, I don't know about this. It doesn't feel right to me. So you may want to go to a separate location and make a phone call. These are choices that you can make and that you can have. And we have a book that also comes with the image-based decisional drills that helps you through making some of these decisions. And then we've got a hidden online page that goes to everyone on our website that is ever-changing. Brian, I'd like to know what your thoughts are on this. Once again, we have two different people, right? I have my brain, and now we've got Brian's brain. He may look at this differently, as Paul did. Babe, why don't you tell me what you're thinking?
So as a protector, I'm concerned that a child is involved. I'm going to check all my mirrors to see if I can see anybody around me first, and make sure that the area is clear. If the bike has just appeared after I passed, I'm going to be concerned where the person went and which direction they went. If I have run over the bicycle, I have to stop the car, and I'm going to check and inspect and make sure somebody's not caught or trapped under my car. So the first is a visual scan using my mirrors. If you set up your mirrors correctly in your car, you're going to be able to see all the vantage points around it and be able to get a good feeling for what's going on. And then I'm going to check and see if somebody's in need. For me, that's my personal decision, because that's a very odd situation. I have two signals here that something's out of place. We have a bike and a backpack, and I'm missing the person. So my first goal is to scan for the person, and if I don't see them, they may be off the road or under my car, and I need to find out as quickly as I can.
Shelley, are you ready for me to move to the next image?
Yes, I just sent you one if you've got that.
Yep.
Give them 5 seconds, then let's take it off, talk about it a bit, and then we'll put it back on.
Okay, here we go. Now that is one where I say is a little bit more visually shocking.
Absolutely. Babe, why don't you start with this one and then I'll come in.
Okay. So this is a very close image. We have pre-assault indicators in it. We have a finger in your face. We have a forward-leaning body posture, and we have a hard eye contact, probably a targeting contact on us. So I have 3 indicators of a big problem here. Now, I'm a high-level martial artist, so I might do this a bit differently. If you don't have martial skills, you're definitely going to want to make some space, and I would say this is a good use for pepper spray. Getting your pepper spray ready, being ready to do it, because apparently this person is very upset and very irate. Your verbal skills will be a big part of this too. Can you deselect yourself? Can you de-escalate this situation if you're good at talking? And that's what we find in this class is people have a hard time using their words sometimes. But this is really close. I would say as a martial artist, I'm either going to take action to get a little bit of control, or if I don't have those skills, this is a really good reason to carry pepper spray. In the state of Georgia, pepper spray is considered a less than lethal technique. It is the level of food as a weapon. We're just irritating the person. So we could really make a good case for why we would use pepper spray here, because somebody hasn't responded to us, they've invaded our space, we've asked them to move away, and we're ready to go.
Hey, Paul, go ahead and put that image back up now.
Sure.
Thank you, honey. Meaning Brian. Thank you, Paul, for the image.
Careful, my wife's just in the other room. And it's probably
Thank you, honey, Brian, for that information.
If only we had names.
Right? I see that the same as Brian does. Once again, the first thing I looked at was the hands, and one is coming at me, and the other one I can't see. So that's very disconcerting. If you look at the background and you have a chance, this is not the city. This is not normal. Why is this happening? I don't know, but I am here and decisions have to be made. He's too close. I would not use a verbal command. There'd be no, hey, buddy, back up. This person is in my space. So this means action. Same with Brian. If I had any type of martial arts, this would be something maybe to close the space and use that. But that's not what I have. So mine would be go to pepper spray immediately, try to make as much space as I can while he's on the ground. Get the heck out of there. If this is something that he's tapping or trying to tap on a window, once again, you're not sure, you just see it, then I just drive away, right? That's my plan of action, is just get out of there. But whatever needs to be done, to me it would be pepper spray and get out of there, and then make a 911 phone call, and then try to remember, I mean, of course, location first, try to remember what he looked like, right? Try to remember what he looked like so we could help the police find him.
We've got several comments that have come in that I want to get, because we've got some great ones, and some that are funny and some that are serious. But going back to the, let's see here. I want to go back to the one. This one came in when we were talking about the one with the bicycle. And what was that bump, Robert said? And George says, I think I'd floor the car and speed away. And that was... that bicycle looked to me like an adult bicycle, and that an adult bicycle. When I'm just cocky enough to know I didn't hit anything, and I wouldn't have hit anything. An adult bicycle on its side in a side view mirror. When I haven't hit anything, see ya. I'm out of here. Anyway, coming in as we went to the guy sticking his finger in your face. These started coming in. Robert says, apologize, even if you didn't do it. Disarm them with charge. He follows up with, then, if necessary, throat punch them.
Okay. Start nice. And
then John says, you don't have to attend every argument which you are invited to.
Absolutely.
I love that one.
That is a nice statement.
And then Charlie Chambers is always, Charlie cuts right to the chase. Course schedules and costs, please. Sounds awesome.
Do you want me to give that info now, or do you want me to give it at the end, or
let's explore this. I'm having fun with this. Let's explore it a little bit.
I just sent you another. I sent you another image.
Okay. All right. Let's get that one queued up here. Where are we at time wise? Oh, you know what? Can we do this? We are right on break. Can we do it right after a break?
Absolutely.
All right. Let's go ahead and hear from the good folks at JPFO. When we come back, we've got it. You're gonna like this image, and we'll be back right after this.
In 1928, Germany required its citizens to register their firearms, making possible Hitler's 1938 Nazi Weapons Act, disarming all Jews. Now ask yourself, what is the real consequence of registration? All in favor of gun control, raise your right hand. Brought to you by Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, America's aggressive civil rights organization. JPFO.org.
Okay, we are back. This is the Polite Society podcast presented by the Second Amendment Foundation. And the image that we promised you, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. What do you think, Shelley?
I'll let everyone kind of think about that real quick again before I start talking. Think about the hands. Think about the proxemics. Think about the belay, how his body's turned. Think about the expression on his face. Are we still there? Right? Okay.
I've been told I did number one so many times that doesn't affect me so much.
I think this was Paul's card. He had more fun picking this out, and I did too. Paul, if you don't mind, put it back on there. I'll give my input, and then we'll go to Brian once again.
Sure.
Okay, guys, so here's what we're looking at. This is roughly 4 yards from you, right? This is nothing more than some sort of a social gesture to let you know where you can go. That is not harmful. That is nothing that has happened to me. So personally, if there's any way to just possibly just, obviously I'm looking at this person, and to just remove myself from there. I wouldn't want to just turn around and put my back to this person. I would want to try to remove myself from this area and just kind of, if you can, Jay, I know it's kind of a strange thing where you see more the way that you would, back up or walk away. But I'd like to keep this gentleman in my peripheral vision, if at all possible. Now, here's something. If you're an image-based decisional drills instructor, like Tracy, Brian, myself, and several other out there, when this card comes up, if the person reacts properly, meaning the first decision is really just walk away and don't even engage. If you are a certified instructor on this, then you have the ability to change this scenario. And where Brian was talking about cognitive stacking earlier, that you would be able to change it. So let's say that this person said, I'd walk away. Great. If that's all you get, that's fine. We're done with this scenario. But as a coach, what if I say he starts yelling at you? Hey, sweet thing. Woo! And starts to follow you and starts closing that space from that 4 yards coming into where decisions are going to have to be made, and you're going to have to turn around and face them. Then we're going to go through our verbal commands. It may be ask, tell, make. The make may be pepper spray. Then the person would need to get to someplace safe. Then the person would need to make the 911 call. Then the person would need to be able to tell them what they looked like. So that's the cognitive stacking. So it could be as simple as the first good, solid decision would be walk away. And then the coach could take it a step further so people are continuing to learn depending on their experience and skill level. Babe, you wanna add something to this one?
True story. That's how Shelley and I met. That card.
Well, all right.
Very quick. I've got 3 comments. Real quick, I want to get up. Maybe 4, because Robert, I got to get Robert.
Brian, you don't get to play on this one. You get the next card.
All right.
Robert says, I wouldn't be too worried about her. And Robert, I'm just going to say, her mustache looked awful thick. Diane says, maybe a boot up his butt. Robert comes back with, if he calls me a sweet thing, we're going to have a problem.
Those are just words. Those are just words. Walk away.
Yes, absolutely.
Just words. Walk away. Babe, do you want to add anything seriously to this? And I will go to the next card and be done.
Yeah, you've done a really good job with it. The thing that I would say is that I can't see his waistline and I can't see his other hand. So that's something that I'm going to keep in there. There are a lot of people in the world that have mental health issues, that have addictions, and they get irritated and they latch onto you. So some sort of verbal agility or preparing actually your pepper spray in this situation may be the next step for you. As Shelley said, you want to make distance, but you have to be prepared to handle these things. And it's interesting, we hear a lot of funny comments about it because this evokes an uncomfortableness in us sometimes of how we're going to handle somebody who for no reason has decided to target us. William April said one of the smartest things ever. He said that when you talk to somebody like this, it never hurts to say, I'm sorry. When you're just talking, if somebody says, hey, you're a jerk, you're whatever, and you're like, I'm sorry, I am. Any bit of politeness and courtesy goes a long way when dealing with somebody who's irate. And having verbal agility and not having your own agenda and applying your emotional fortitude is incredibly important in this. And we see a very hard time with this in class where people don't quite know what to do with this. It's shocking. People aren't supposed to act this way, so they're not really sure what to say or do. But you need to automate these responses as much as you can in case it happens to you.
Right.
All right.
And the one thing about that, Brian, is that I think that is like a geographical type thing. There are a lot of times when I'm like, I'm way too Midwestern to understand the interaction there that you would get if instead you were raised in one of the big cities or on one of the coasts where you see a little more of that as opposed to kind of corn-fed, white bread kind of folks.
In Massachusetts, we only see that. I was going to say, in Massachusetts, we only see that when people are driving.
Yeah, one of the things that we face that's really hard is excited delirium now, where people are taking prescription drugs and their own recreational pharmaceuticals, and that's no longer stuck in the city. And then sometimes people just have altered mental states. You may just run into somebody in a bad place that's very quiet. So we all assume that it's always going to be city-oriented, but this guy just may be out of sorts that day, and it may be you're the luckiest one to meet him on the hiking trail, or you're the lucky one to meet him in the lone parking lot. You just never know. So it's good to have some way to handle this.
Yeah, no, but that wasn't what I meant about it. I just think that in the cities, or when people are stacked one upon another, that you have more of an opportunity to explore your ability to apologize and back up.
Oh, for sure. I see. I see.
So it's more of a skill set there, that you can ignore it, as opposed to us going, we're just gawking, right? And the city folks, Charlie, Massachusetts, there is just like, keep on going. That's just what happens over there.
I gotta get this comment in, and I'm so gonna steal this, by the way. That's why I practice Puerto Rican judo. You don't know if I have a gun. You don't know if I have a knife. I'm so stealing that, Robert.
I love it. I was going to actually ask Charlie, and then Charlie, you spoke up. With as much driving as you do, what do you encounter the most with any type of your number one or road rage? I mean, you really, you drive and you do your riding shotgun. But Charlie, you're on the road. What do you do when you encounter something like this?
I'm very fortunate that I don't have to. I don't encounter something like this very often, which is really good. I usually think bad things about their mother, of course. I did. I had a girlfriend a few years ago. She told me when she cuts someone off and they honk at her, or they show her who's number one, she said what she does is she blows them a kiss.
Oh,
and that's completely disarming as well, and it's not something that I've been able to institute.
I'm just saying it's going to be super disarming for you to blow some booty kiss. I think that might be called escalation. Let's stay away from that.
Wow.
Awesome. Oh, my dog. Awesome. I think if we had time, I don't know, I had one more image for you.
Yes, and if you don't mind,
if you wanted it.
Yeah, and I want to do one more after that, because I want to catch the one that I thought that was the most humorous out of the ones I chose. But we're going to get to the one you sent me just a few seconds ago.
Sure.
All right, here we go with this one, and you get 5 seconds starting now. Ooh. There's your 5 seconds.
Woo.
Time to go.
Wow, guys. I am going to turn this over to Brian because, I want to bring one thing up first. Did you guys understand what position you were in when you saw this image? Were you looking at faces, or were you looking up? Now bring the image back up. Let's fully understand. I am looking straight. I do not believe that I am standing up. When I look at this, I feel like I'm sitting on my knees. That's the feeling I get with this image. I do not feel, I'm looking almost straight into the car's headlights. I'm taller than that. So why am I sitting in that position? Why am I there? I don't know. Brian, this one's yours.
So the greatest self-defense implement outside of carrying a pistol is carrying a light. And you need to have some way to identify what's going on here. Regardless whether you're standing or sitting, we're going to need light to see what's happening. And if you use a really good flashlight, it is stunning to the person that it hits in their eyes. And it gives you time to see what's going on and to make a better decision here. We don't know. We don't have enough information yet, but we've got to see what's going on, and we've got multiple feet around us, so we've got to be able to see. Whether you carry a weapon-mounted light on your pistol or whether you carry a flashlight in your pocket, it needs to be available, because even if this was a decide that I need to act upon this and do something with my firearm, I'm still going to have to be able to see them and my target, my sights, before I can make a shot. So I need to get light into this situation as soon as you can. The number one recommendation I make as a self-defense trainer is carry a light with you, whether you live in the city or in the country. We moved recently to the country, so we walk the dogs at night. My concern is more about bears and coyotes, but I still need a light to see them. And when I'm in a city, I need a light to see the bad guys. And it allows me to ascertain what's going on, what's in their hands, and if I had to shoot, then I'm going to be able to see my sights. Now, I don't know enough information from this card. It's dark. Right. So the first thing I'm going to do is get a light on it and get some more information as quickly as I can. If somebody, they're not close enough to strike me, obviously, but I need more information. I've got to be able to see, and I've got to be able to see what's going on, because if I'm going to use force, I'm going to have to authenticate what I'm doing, and I'm going to have to be able to say why I did it. And it's going to be very important to get more information quickly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I don't know that I'd add anything to that one. That once again, my position is interesting. Take that into consideration. When you get a card with image-based decisional drills that's super dark, we ask that you take that flashlight and actually put it on the card. You need to see more. That's your first step. That's your first step to the good decision, is to see more. Well, if we saw more, we'd probably see just a bunch of feet. That's all the information we got. Well, then my decision is to see more and leave.
I thought you were on a bridge. I thought the picture was on a bridge, Shelley.
I didn't. Oh, interesting. See, I didn't see a bridge.
So, Paul, can you bring that picture back up again?
Yeah. I don't know that I saw a bridge.
Yeah, you see on the left side of the railing.
Yeah, I see street.
On the left side of the picture, I don't know if that's a wall or a bridge or
that
what.
Looks like the guardrail for a bridge. I agree with Tracy.
Very well could be, because on the other side, I see an open door.
See, it's interesting the different things that people focus on.
That's right. Different people, different minds. But if we're going to try to teach someone to do make one good first decision, no matter what, we want to see hands. We need some light to see the hands and then make decisions. But interesting. Good call, Tracy. I never even saw that. I just saw a side. Never even occurred to me. Good call. Good call.
All right. I need to get this in. Robert says, not to plug them, but I just picked up a couple of old lights, and they're incredibly bright, both on my pistol and standalone. Yeah, I think I want a couple of those 1.21 gigawatt, floods that I can pull out of my pocket and put in people's eyes.
One other good thing with the flashlight is not just to be able to ID, but it's also to deselect. So if you're walking in a dark parking lot, and let's say that we pulled up a card that was a dark parking lot and that's it. We're walking in dark parking lots all the time. Wouldn't it be nice just kind of look around a little bit? Well, guess what? We've just deselect ourselves, because who's the people that use flashlights the most?
The popo.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So we may have just deselected ourselves with nothing more than using that light, and maybe a person that was watching now realizes that we may not be an easy target and decides to leave us alone, or wonders what other tools we have in our little toolbox, right? You don't know.
The other beautiful thing about flashlights that I love is how difficult is it for you to see once you've got a flashlight in the face, and how long does it take you to recover? If you're thinking of attacking somebody and you get flashlight in the face, is it going to take you a little bit before you're going to be able to resume that attack?
Right, for sure. Absolutely, for sure.
We're going to only be able to do one more segment, or we're going to end up with the whole show. But before we go off, I want to get Shelley, you and I think we spent a half an hour laughing about this one that I chose when we did this. When I was choosing the ones for the Polite Society pack. But
I know which one you're gonna pick.
We're gonna go ahead and put this one up. You get 5 seconds. Here we go. Okay, 5 seconds. What happens when you see that?
First of all, that cracks me up. Okay, my first reaction when Paul said he was going to pick that card, I think Brian's still giggling, is I thought to myself, if they're running from that direction, and they certainly don't look like joggers, but I saw, once again, at first, I don't want to put the image back up yet, but in a second, I saw what I thought was cameras. To me, that might have meant that they were in the woods and they were, doing wildlife. And to me, the expression on their face looks like a bear or someone is chasing them, or I don't know. Or you just,
Chupacabra. The
right? Or you
Chupacabra
just
came out.
Yeah, you just step to the side and let these freaks walk by. I didn't know what to do. I thought it was an awesome card because there's so much to see in that 5 seconds that I was just kind of like, what do you step to the side? Do you ask them if they're okay? Do you start running the opposite direction? I don't know. Paul, tell them why you picked it and what you thought, and then I'd like to hear Brian's thoughts. Put the card
I saw
back
this
up.
one
Awesome.
and I immediately thought I want misguided young individuals that are out ghost hunting. And is immediately what I thought. They've scared themselves crapless and are running from nothing. And yeah. So that was my very first thought.
Put the card back up. There it is. So, do you see what I'm saying? It looks like, I don't know, I just thought maybe they were out taking pictures and now, I don't know, it just kills me. So, on the serious side, if I was on the trail and this is 4 yards from me, honestly, I probably would step to the side and let them go through, and I'd be very cautious about going the same direction that they just ran from. I don't know. They just don't look like joggers. Babe, on the serious side, even though this cracks us up, what do you think?
Well, being a world-famous firearms instructor, this is my paparazzi that follows me everywhere. You just have to put Shelley's head on top of one of them. Yeah.
Susan Myers agrees with you, man.
Yep. If you put Shelley's head on top of it, that's exactly what it looks like. She follows me everywhere with a camera, so I'm probably immune to this. And really, it's funny and it's startling. And there's really, I can see one guy's hands pretty well, and they're out taking pictures. Is there anything concerning to me? Not really. I just step out of the way and move on. But it's funny when it's shocking because you're like, what will I do in this situation? And having some sort of plan to do something, get out of the way with them, And we see a lot of people taking pictures and video of everything now, which has changed this. 10 years ago, this would be a lot more odd. 20 years ago, it'd be really odd. But now everybody takes videos of everything. And today I was driving a tractor and I looked up, my wife is videotaping me driving a tractor. We all get videotaped a lot, so I just see it as my paparazzi now. So
there's a country music song in there somewhere.
Yeah, there is.
With a dog and a truck and his tractor and his
Actually, I was thinking David Outland Coe was going to be the one who's going to have to write it.
Yeah.
Please play it backwards. I get it all back.
I love it.
That's awesome.
All right, we are way past break. We need to take one more break, and we're going to hang out one more segment with Brian and Shelley. They moved into a neighborhood of Karens, and we need to talk about that. So, hang on, folks. We're gonna step aside for one more break. We're going to hear from the folks at CNJFO. We'll be right back right after this.
New Jersey is a civil rights wasteland where an unconstitutional law known as justifiable need keeps ordinary citizens from exercising their right to bear arms. New Jersey spits in the eye of freedom, ignores the Bill of Rights, and the Heller decision. New Jersey politics are an anti-civil rights bulldozer and a spreading cancer. The Coalition of New Jersey Firearms Owners, a tax-exempt nonprofit, has a goal to defeat justifiable need, reverse course on all anti-freedom laws, and render aid to other jurisdictions by filing Supreme Court-bound litigation. CNJFO is a beacon of freedom behind the Iron Curtain in New Jersey. Join CNJFO's strong, enthusiastic patriots. Support the Coalition of New Jersey Firearms Owners today. Protect all our rights and return freedom to the Garden State. To donate or learn more, go to cnjfo.com.
All right. This is our final interview segment with Brian and Shelley Hill of The Complete Combatant. Folks, Brian and Shelley, starting this spring, you guys started what was really kind of a dream for you guys. You got a awesome location. You were going to move to a new range, and it was all fantastic and upbeat. And then all of a sudden, things kind of got turned on their head this summer. What happened?
Babe, you want me to start this and then you
Sure.
go
ahead.
it?
Yep.
It's a little different than that, Paul. This is actually the same range that we've been using since our dear friends got this property almost 10 years ago. And we've been shooting on this range, and then it became something that we used on a professional level several years ago. But what's happened is we've increased our classes. So yes, it is considered maybe to the neighbors new, right? Because our schedule has changed, and we are now maybe have a couple more classes than what we had before. Whatever the reason, we've gotten the attention of our neighbors, and it's not been very good. So what we're dealing with now is, Brian, I'm going to turn this over to you to talk about the noise and the zoning and so on and so forth. You talk a lot. It's better coming from you. Go, baby.
So what they've done is they've said that we're running a commercial business and an agricultural preserve. So they got zoning and planning to come after us for a special land use agreement, which means we would be able to run the business in this area. And it was an interesting way to do it because Lumpkin County that we live in does not have a noise ordinance. So there was no way to stop us from shooting, but there was a way to stop us from running a commercial business. Now, that doesn't stop us from shooting when we want to anyway. As far as just for personal recreation, we can shoot whenever we want. The neighbors did not approach us. They did not let us know, except for one neighbor. We tried to work it out a little bit, but he was unwilling to meet with me. So we had a very hard time. We just were called in and known that we need to stop running a business here until we get a special land use agreement. Zoning and planning has been very helpful with us. They've helped us set up what we need to do and try to do it. Now, the decibels we're talking about at the road, the highest decibel reading was 70 decibels. So we have done a lot of research on this, and we have contacted a company that will model the sound and help us set up movable barriers to negate the sound because there'll be sound absorbing barriers. We're also going to do some landscaping with giant green trees to help knock it down, and insulation for our cover. So we're really willing to do a lot of concessions and compromises, but the feeling in the neighborhood was we just need to get this stopped and there'll be no more shooting. And since we're both professional instructors, we're going to practice quite a bit outside of that so that it's not really going to change what's happening. There just won't be that one weekend class a month and the several private lessons that we do.
You know, especially since my stroke, my attitude probably would have been, I would have made friends with Elon Musk and built a launch complex. See how they like it then.
Sounds familiar, Amanda, doesn't it?
No.
You should have heard. We had Brian on last night on our show on Eye on the Target Radio, and Rob Campbell, who does not have the social niceties filter that I do, was giving Brian a few pointers and advice. And so none of them were necessarily socially acceptable to the neighbors. I think one of them was, if it's full agricultural use, why don't you just start a mink farm, because then they'll really enjoy it and they'll go back and ask for the noise.
I love it. Well, what we did was there's a company out there that's called Environmental Noise Control. And from A to Z, they're helping us through everything. They're going to do the whole modeling. They're going to tell us where the decibels are. They're going to tell us where to place things. They're going to do absolutely everything. It's absolutely awesome. We have a GoFundMe that we did reach our goal. Our goal was $25,000, and in 3 weeks we reached it. So we have stopped the GoFundMe until we have more information on the 21st. Now, we may engage again. But right now we've stopped the GoFundMe because we've reached the goal. So now we need to see where we go from there. We also have a petition. The petition itself is not just for us, it's for other small ranges that are outdoors that are dealing with something like that. So petition is for everyone. We're at over 1,500 now. And we've got quite a few that are actually Lumpkin County residents, which that's what really matters. So we're really trying to move forward with that as well. So hopefully on September 21st, when we go to the hearing, be our second hearing, hopefully with all the information that we've compiled, we'll be able to move forward with this. But where we're at right now is it's actually $35,000 is what we're at right now. So obviously we're putting in savings. And we've got another sponsor, very large, that will announce at one point, and then the $25,000. But we're still $10,000 short from the goal. But that's right now. So I'm not once again asking to open up the GoFundMe right now. We're just sitting tight and seeing what we got. So
there you go, doing the responsible thing, and you know, here I was hoping for a launch complex, but you know.
We're good people.
I guess I don't know how to ask my question. You're not having to spend all of this money only to find out at the end of the month that they're going to come back and say, "Too bad, so sad. You're shutting you down." Okay. So this is obviously it's a goodwill gesture on y'all's part. Are you hoping from some sort of concession from your nasty neighbors who were complaining? So for some sort of appeasement or something?
It'll be zoning and planning. Yeah, it'll be zoning and planning that we have to appease. So if they give us a special land use agreement here, then it becomes a commercial range for private classes, and we'll be fine with that. And then after a year, the Range Protection Act will also ensure that we have a chance to continue doing our business and a noise problem doesn't become. Now, we have anticipated the neighbors on several fronts, but I think, and Shelley, I think, agrees with this, is they've really spent their capital at the beginning of this, and they have loosely related the truth of what they did. So we have a very good strategy to disarm them, so to say, from their particular thing. And if the commissioners, the board members, accept it, then we're in business at that point.
One thing I'd like to add is we do have a business license. What happened was the business license was kind of cut in half, if you want to call it. We have a business license for the Complete Combatant. What they did is they shut down the live fire portion of the Complete Combatant. So the Complete Combatant itself is sound. All of our classes are sound. We're not going anywhere. It's the live fire classes that we take money for the professional. That's what's in jeopardy. The mingle, not so much, because we can just change that around a little bit, because that is for nonprofit, which means it's not money. It does, obviously, we end up obviously earning some money on that, but It goes from, we send it to Rachel's Rest, where Rachel's Rest could in turn send it to us. So all these things we can work around so much of the stuff that, we feel pretty confident that the Complete Combatant itself, we're sound. It's just, what are we going to do with our once a month live fire classes if they don't allow this? And that's where we have to go to plan B. But once again, we're not going that way. We're staying positive. Tracy, I want to say something with you. This was a very good question. We have the GoFundMe, we have checks, we have Venmo and Cash App. That's how we've collected everything. The checks,
I contributed via the GoFundMe. Yeah.
I know. I saw it come in. Thank you. The checks themselves are still sitting here uncashed. They will not be cashed until the 21st or until we decide, or excuse me, 21st is the hearing. 22nd is where decisions will start to be made. Hopefully we get a yes, then we go to the bank, we cash stuff. That's it. They're not cashed. Because if we get a no, then of course we'll appeal. But then we've got to make other decisions. Where it's changes, though, is all the other stuff goes right into the bank, right? You can't do that. So that's sitting there. Not one dime will be spent. Not one dime. Because that goes to the saving of the range.
Oh, and see, that never even crossed my mind because I know y'all and y'all are good people.
Everything goes back.
Heartbreaking that you've got just nasty neighbors because at KR Training we are so fortunate that our neighbors around us shoot, and kind of as a concession during the winter months during deer season, we hardly teach any live fire shooting at all, so as to give them a better chance, so to speak, to get to bag a deer. But
it's awesome.
I feel so bad for y'all that you just got one person who had a bad day and they've just decided to have Groundhog Day over and over and over, and y'all are the recipients of that, and it breaks my heart. It's just y'all are good people. And
I'm sorry, Paul.
No, we're up on break again, and I've already kept you guys over an hour. But before we go, we really should have done this before, but I want to get into it right now. Shelley, the image-based decision drills, we had the question about it before. How about you get into it now? Program costs, where can they get more information, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you guys so much for having us on. This has been an absolute blast. So, image-based decisional drills is super easy. Image-based decisional drills.com. That's where we're at. And you go on there, you're going to see the kit, which is the kit that Tracy was talking about, that you can actually buy, that comes with all sorts of tools, inert pepper spray, which means that it's a practice training spray that has pepper in it. So, that has water in it, so you can, see the distance and practice. Yeah, don't. That was my bad. So you can purchase that. You can also see where you can attend a class. Brian is all over the country, and he teaches what's called the mini class, which is a 3-hour class. And then, of course, we teach the regular class, which is 8 hours. And then, of course, we also teach the image-based decisional drills instructor certification. That's all over the country. And that's what Tracy had attended at KR Training. So image-based decisionaldrills.com is where you can find us. And as far as signing the petition or helping in other ways if we end up needing it, that's going to be, just go to our main page at thecompletecombatant.com, and you'll see both links at the very, very top. And also you can see where Brian is training next and what we have going on as far as our schedule, because he's everywhere with the red dot right now, just teaching everywhere. So check us out there too.
Very cool. Well, Brian and Shelley, thank you so much. This has been one of the most fun interviews I can ever remember doing.
This has been a blast.
We really enjoyed it. Thank you.
So,
thank y'all.
We are going to step aside to our last break, and I think we're going to do an abbreviated news / DGU segment when we get back, and then we'll shut the show down all in one segment. We're going to slash 3 segments into one, and we'll let y'all go after that. So hang on, everybody. We're going to do ad from JPFO. We'll be back right after that.
It all failed before. Alcohol prohibition brought us organized crime, and no less alcohol. Drug prohibition brought us murderous, no-knock, wrong-house raids.
Police! Search warrant!
No, wait! The crack house is next door!
Now gun prohibitionists want laws to lead us down that same path. Don't Americans ever learn? Just ask yourself, isn't government the only beneficiary of police-state policies? Brought to you by Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership. Information available at jpfo.org.
Hey, and welcome back. This is the final segment of the Polite Society podcast, powered by the Second Amendment Foundation. And I lost Amanda. Where the heck did Amanda go? I got to find where I've got to go there, put that there, and...
Obviously, she's hanging out with Shelley and Brian.
Maybe she doesn't want to be found.
Wait a minute. Come back. Select there, and now, bingo! There's a.
There she is.
I was getting a complex.
I'm telling you, man.
See.
You need to fire that producer you got. He's screwing up all over the place. Let's be slow news week, with the exception of na hey Chipman's gone.
Yep.
That's really the news for the week. Anything else, guys? I mean,
well, the Chipman thing is really a testament. There was a someone on Twitter, and it was someone of record and someone of note that I can't remember who it was right now, that came on. Well, they came on and they came out and started by saying that when they made the nomination for Chipman, they had gone out to see if they had the votes, and they had a 55-45 vote to vote for Chipman is where they thought the votes were. And then we started calling and writing and emailing. And so this statement was the fact that they invoked the wrath of the NRA upon our elected officials, and the big bad NRA changed it. Well, that's exactly what the purpose is, and I'm not going to say it's the NRA, but I am going to say it's the Second Amendment lobby. It's the Second Amendment advocates. It's the the 2A groups. It's whatever that is. I'm saying it's all y'all and the work that you did. Yes, and that's what blew it right out of the water for them. So
like I've said before, is the NRA is really taking the arrows for the other groups that are doing work. You know what I mean? Like the anti-gun wackos come out and say the NRA is the one that did this, when maybe they said something about it, maybe they sent out some emails, who knows? But it's the SAF, it's FPC, it's GOA that's doing all the work, and the NRA ends up having to take the flak because the anti-gun wackos don't know about the rest of us.
They can't spell all the rest of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
FPC, GOA, they can't spell those.
OMG.
SAF.
WTF.
WTF.
Let's see.
Oh, this show has gone off the rails.
I've been talking for 30 seconds. What are you talking about?
This is what happens when you have me back on the podcast after an extended hiatus.
I'm telling you. So Dana did show notes. Did you see the one that he did specifically for me?
No, I'm trying to scan for
that Ricky Wershey, the Detroit boy, also known as White Boy Rick, has now gone into business for himself. He is partnering with a company called Pleasant Trees Cannabis Company and launching his own cannabis brand called The Eighth, in reference to the Eighth Amendment. So anybody who knows, watch White Boy Rick and see who you recognize. It won't take long.
Right. Well, you got to be in the right part of the movie, and you've got to be in the right 45 seconds to a minute.
Oh, no. It is 5 seconds, 8 words.
Oh, okay.
5 seconds, 8 words. Okay.
5 seconds, 8 words. That's it.
And a cold sandwich, right?
A cold sandwich. Yep. But anyhow, it was pretty cool. So what did Charlie promo in the beginning of the show? Because we probably ought to talk about that. Oh, the 3 anti-violence workers charged with felony gun violations
that were already on probation for.
This is like the Talking Heads, same as it ever was. 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 We have 3 guys that are with an anti-violence group that got caught carrying what does it say here? Extended magazines in their cars, who shouldn't have been having firearms. I know, right? I know. In free America, they just call them magazines. But they got caught with firearms and guns and ammo, and they shouldn't have had them anyway. So, like, it's the revolving door of justice. And this happened. Guess where this happened? Chicago. Shocking.
Yeah.
And
really.
I saw a story this morning about the mayor of Chicago that came out, and she said this is great. She wants to sue gangbangers so that they stop crime. And it makes me think of the old It makes me think of the old Batman TV show where Batman and Robin end up talking to the Joker and the Penguin, and I'm like, dude, you have them, just keep them. You already have these guys. You don't have to let them go and then have them come back to court. Like, instead of having a revolving door of justice, when they have these people, just lock them up, for God's sakes. Don't give them a second chance. Don't let them.
Why they call us a slammer?
Oh man, it's ridiculous. So, all the good stuff in Chicago.
They need to go back and watch a TV show from the late 70s, early 80s called The Dukes of Hazzard. Roscoe P. Coltrane knew how to do it. You cuff them and stuff them.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm old enough that I used to watch that every Friday night on CBS.
Telling you. CBS, absolutely. Must-watch TV before NBC had anything to do with it. Let's see here. DGUs, Again, I'm just skipping through because we're at.
It's time to say thank you for Brian and Shelley coming on and being our guests.
And we're just going to skip the DGUs and move on.
Save them for next week.
Yes, absolutely.
We'll just tell Dana which ones we did because he's going to want to know.
Well, he was probably listening in, and they know.
Let me get these. You got that's the button I want. Is the SF thing paying people? And Dana says San Fran will pay people for not shooting other people. I need to get on that payroll.
I wonder if it's retroactive.
Yeah.
So I get paid for the people I didn't shoot last week, but next week is still on the hook. Is that it?
Yeah, it just
still out there.
And the show went off the rails so far ago that I'm good. And I'm just going to say this: we've had so many great comments tonight, and we've had Brian and Shelley were such great interviews. Thank you everybody for watching. I think we're gonna set the show aside. Thank you for watching. Come back, everybody, 5 p.m. Central Time. I've got commentators booked all week. The Daily Bullet is going to fly all week, 5 p.m. Central Time. In the next several weeks, look for the Weekly Bullet to come back, and I'm hoping in the next several weeks for the Armed Society to come back as well. I'm not at 100% yet, but I'm getting there. I'm really hoping that very soon I'm back in full swing. I'm a little slow upstairs. Right. What's different than before the stroke? But I'm getting there, and I'm hoping that I can get back to what I used to do in the very near future. Thank you, everybody who's watching, for hanging there with me. Come join us this week, 5 p.m. Central Time. And with that, until next time, I don't know who.
Stay safe.
There we go.
Be aware.
And we'll see you down the road.
The views and opinions on the show you just heard are those of the host and the guest and are not necessarily the views of any sponsors or other affiliations. But hey, not everyone is as smart as we are.
Okay, I'm going to shut down the streams. Again, thank you everybody for watching, and come join me tomorrow.